Hello, and welcome to this introduction to the editor's main menu, the screen that you will see first after logging into the Editorial Manager or EM system. We begin on the login page, and first let me log in as Sarah, the editor for our test journal. I'm going to go through the screen from top to the bottom. I will at least briefly touch on everything on this page. To start, notice the links in white in the top left-hand side of the page. These links are static and will remain in place for you to access from any screen inside of EM and even from the home page / login screen on the outside of the system. The links are fairly self-explanatory. I suspect the most important for you are the Update My Information link, which allows you to change your username, password, and contact information, and the Contact Us link, which allows you to get in touch with your coordinator via email with one click. These links are presented to all users interacting with EM, including authors and reviewers. The Submit a Manuscript link is interesting for you as an editor. As you see it here among the other links, this option will take you to the ability to upload editor use only file types, such as editorials and corrections. But there are actually two ways for an editor to submit a manuscript. These will be addressed specifically in the video for main editors entitled Submitting a Manuscript, the Two Ways. So keep an eye out for that video. To the right of these links, you'll notice two drop-downs, one worded Go and the other worded Roll. The Go To drop-down takes you to two search options, Search Submissions and Search People. This is replicated lower down on the page here in the Search section. Because of this redundancy, I doubt you will ever use the Go To drop-down. The other drop-down for Roll is one that might be of use, however. In a previous video called Registration, Login, and Permissions, How EM Works, I discussed the four role families that correspond to the four buttons on the login page, different login buttons for author, reviewer, editor, and publisher users. I also mentioned there that role assignments are based on permissions granted to an individual by the editorial office. What's important to note here is that a user can have one role in each of the four families. If we look at Sarah's role drop-down, we notice that she has three roles: author, reviewer, and editor. When you log in as a main editor, you will definitely have author and editor roles, and if you and your associate editors also act as reviewers for your journal, then you would have a reviewer role in this drop-down as well, as Sarah does. You can come to this role drop-down and can toggle among your roles. Say you were an editor but were invited to review a manuscript for the journal. You'd want to toggle over to your reviewer role and either agree to the invitation or submit your review. In this case, Sarah has no assignments, but new assignments needing agreement are here. Assignments needing a recommendation are in pending assignments. Once your reviewer tasks are completed, you can just choose Editor from the role drop-down to toggle back to your Editor main menu. Now we come to the body of the page. I think of each of these sections as folders because they kind of look like folders. A tab with the title and then the folder itself underneath. Except for search, inside of each folder are individual queues that contain manuscripts that match the criteria for that queue. So this is a folder. and this is a queue. And now let's discuss them. The Submissions With folder. This is a grid showing you how many manuscripts have X number of reviews complete. It's an at-a-glance snapshot of your work in progress. If any manuscripts meet the criteria as having that number of reviews complete, there will be a link to view the manuscript summary page for these manuscripts. The manuscript summary page will be gone over in detail in another video called, strangely enough, Manuscript Summary Page. Next is search. In EM, it is possible to search either submissions, i.e. manuscripts, or to search for any person, and that means author, reviewer, or editor. The Search Submissions function will allow you to search for a single record or to search for groups of records that meet specific criteria. The Search People function, on the other hand, allows you to search for individual users or groups of users by their role in the system. Note that the Search People function on the main menu is not the reviewer search. It is instead a search for any and everyone in the system. Details on searching using these two features will be discussed in a separate video. At this point, I plan to call the video Basic and Advanced Search, so keep an eye out for it on the teamspacecenter.com website. The Editor To-Do List. Now we come to the section of the page where, as I like to say, all the action happens. This is where all of your own active work is displayed in different queues. Though all are important and all under the My Pending Assignments header require some action from you, the most essential queues to my mind are the first two, New Assignments and Submissions with Required Reviews Complete. The former, New Assignments, is where all items just assigned to you by the coordinator will land. They require you to do one of three things. 1. Assign the manuscript to an AE. 2. Keep the assignment and find reviewers for it. Or 3. Keep the assignment and draft and send your decision letter. At this early stage, that decision letter would probably be a desk reject. The Submissions with Required Reviews Complete queue is for manuscripts that have all expected reviews returned. In the editor's case, this queue does double duty. There is a whole short video just on this oddity called Queues That Do Double Duty, where I explain exactly how to navigate the queues where more than one thing could be expected of you. The other queues, as you can see, are self-explanatory. For example, if something needs more reviewers, i.e. if it has dropped below the minimum threshold for reviews expected for a manuscript, it will appear in the third queue for submissions requiring additional reviewers. A couple of notes about the Editor To-Do List. Most important for me to explain, to users who are coming from the JBO system at least, is that this to-do list is different from the home page in JBO in many ways. The main difference is that EM does not have as linear a structure. In JBO, a manuscript moves from QA to QB and so on in a steady progression, and you can always tell where a manuscript is in processing just by looking at what queue it's in. In EM, it's a little different. While you can tell what's new or what needs a decision letter pretty easily, the queues overall are not linear as in JBO. Manuscripts can jump around from queue to queue as they satisfy the requirements of a particular queue. Related to this is my second point. A manuscript in EM can exist in more than one queue at a time, depending on whether it meets the requirements of multiple queues. For example, an item could be in the Submissions Under Review category, or queue, and it could also be in the Submissions Requiring Additional Reviewers queue, as rules for both queues could be satisfied by the situation of the manuscript at that moment in time. If you are confused by this, don't worry. There is one saving grace amidst the confusion, and that is the letters that EM sends out. These letters will contain what EM calls a deep link. This web link, when clicked on, will allow you to bypass login, bypass this main menu screen, and go straight to the manuscript summary page. But back to the deep links and letters. The beauty of the links is that it means you don't have to go hunting inside of EM for which queue or queues a manuscript might be in. You simply wait for the letter and then click on the link and are brought into EM to perform the required task on that manuscript. These letters will be sent at each of 4 milestones. First, when a manuscript is assigned to you, the main editor, by the manuscript coordinator. Second, when an invited reviewer agrees or declines. Third, when an individual review is returned. And fourth, when all expected reviews have been returned and a decision letter is now needed. The View All Assigned folder is for all submissions that are in process without a decision. Here at a glance, you can see the manuscripts that are being handled by each editor. The View All Assigned Submissions Being Edited queue describes manuscripts that are in process, but that for some reason need their metadata or PDF package corrected. Usually this is done by the coordinator. While they are being edited, they will display in this queue. Note that this folder, the View All Assigned folder, with its 2 queues, only displays for you as the main editor or editor-in-chief and for your manuscript coordinator. Associate editors will not see the list of everyone's assigned work. They will only see their own. The Subordinate Editor's Pending Assignments folder displays the manuscripts that you assign to associate editors. It gives you 3 different groupings to choose from, so you can view by AE assigned or by manuscript status. One aside, because our AEs don't assign work on to others, the Editors I Assign category should be the same as the Editor with Current Responsibility category, except in cases where a draft has been handed back to you for approval and send, which means those manuscripts would now be in your keeping instead of with the AE. So what's the difference between the View All Assigned and the Subordinate Editor's Pending Assignments sections, you may be wondering? The answer is that the former captures all manuscripts, including those you've kept to handle yourself, and the latter is a queue for manuscripts that you've assigned to an associate editor. So essentially, Subordinate Editor's Pending Assignments is a subset of the View All Assigned category. Use each as you wish to track manuscripts in active peer review. Submissions with Decisions folder is where completed work resides. All of these other folders, from the Editor To-Do List down to Subordinate Editor's Pending Assignments, handle in-process work, but when the processing is done, all manuscripts come to rest in the Submissions with Decisions folder. The first 3 queues hold all decisions, while the final 2 queues hold just your decisions. The queues here are all fairly self-explanatory. The only queue that I feel needs a moment of explanation is the All Submissions with Final Disposition queue, with its subset counts of accepted, rejected, and withdrawn manuscripts. Once a draft decision is saved, manuscripts with a decision by all editors assigned to it, that would be you alone, or you and one of your AEs, fall into either the Submissions Out for Revision queue, here, or for any of the revised decisions, or the All Submissions with Editors Decision queue for any of the accept or reject decisions. And in the case of items in the All Submissions with Editors Decision queue, the accepts and rejects, there they will stay until someone, usually the coordinator, marks the manuscript with a final disposition of accept or reject. Maybe it's not the best analogy, but I think of the final disposition as parking a car and never moving it again. In the case of a reject, the coordinator can usually set the final disposition of reject immediately after the decision letter goes out. In the case of an acceptance, however, the coordinator will have to wait until completed forms are in to set final disposition, as this action for accepted items triggers the transmittal of files and metadata to APA production. Again, like the View All Assigned folder being viewable by you and your coordinator only, similarly, only the two final queues, My Assignments with Decision and My Assignments with Final Disposition, will display for AEs under the Submissions with Decisions folder. The system helps associate editors keep track of their own work, but does not give them access to the entire work product of the journal, active or complete. The Administrative Functions folder has queues that are fairly self-explanatory, and there will shortly be videos on each of these queues: registering a new user, reports, and send reminder letters. The last item, send reminder letters, is usually done by the coordinator on behalf of editors. At least that's how it was done in JBO. And this is fine if it continues. It is a journal level preference who has access to the reminder letters and who can send them, or set them up to go out automatically. The reports link takes you to many reports. You may want to peruse them yourself to get a sense of the scope. EM's reporting is one of the key reasons that we chose this product. As far as training goes, we may need to create a whole section of videos and print documentation just on reports, as there is so much to discuss there. Well, now we've been through the entire main menu. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me at the email address being displayed. Thank you.